In my never-ending quest to find ways to kill time until GTA 6, I found myself knocking on the door of a game I swore off of day one 10 years ago. However, much like a late-night booty call, 10 years later I find myself back on its doorstep, and wondering if I should even give it a crack. With tentative and shaky legs, I opened the door to a game wondering if all the rumors I had heard were true. No Man's Sky launched 10 years ago, and its launch has been beaten to death and talked over and over, so we can skip that section for now. I have made the obligatory mention of the elephant in the room, so let's talk about why I went back. You ever had that one girl that when you were in school that was like the token ugly chick, but now it's 10 years later and you see her when you go out to the clubs or the pubs, or where do young people go these days? I don't know, the fucking cool places young people go to. But you see her 10 years later and she's blossomed, and this whole look of her is like, holy shit. Well, that's kind of No Man's Sky. I've heard for years and years, ever since the Internet Historian covered it, that this game has improved so much. From a loving dev team who knew they fucked up at launch and have done a lot to fix and essentially win back player favor, attracting old and new players back to the game. So, as someone that was extremely hyped for this game on its launch, it didn't take much convincing for me to want to give it a go, and honestly, it's an infinite amount of exploration that can be done, so why wouldn't I want to play it? That sounds like a great time sink. So let me start by saying the game is honestly one of the best and most amazing space exploration games I could have ever imagined. That's it. That's the best praise I could give it, is by saying that 10-year-old me, who was obsessed with space and the idea of riding on a spaceship and, you know, going into intergalactical fucking things, he would have lost his fucking mind at this game. Going around and seeing all this shit and just floating through space, like, I just wish I had the DeLorean so I could take this back and show it to him. Flying around and exploring the depths of space is absolutely the bread and butter of this game. Landing on a planet, harvesting resources, mapping creatures, marking down plants, discovering elements, settlements, hubs. It's literally all here and it's awesome. The beauty of this game is in the amount of things you can do. Want to become a multi-linguist and be able to speak with all these different alien life forms in the game by learning their language? Okay, sure, we can do that. Want to become the best chef in the galaxy and harvest numerous recipes, products from animals and refine them into tasty dishes? I bet, let's go. Or maybe you want to become a space pirate and pillage from other travelers and NPCs. You can do all these things. You can get into it pretty much from the get-go. There's also a whole lot of story missions, side missions that take place, a hub of unlocks, a plethora of upgrades. Like, this game is a time sink, just waiting to happen. And honestly, from my perspective, I could just fly around and explore galaxies all day long. I don't need anything else. It's just there's so much here to have for it to offer. It's crazy. Right. Now that I've licked the entire sack, shaft, and bunghole, I think I have you all lubed up and ready for me to bring the elephant back into the room. Trojan style. Yes, I said I was going to skip over the this game's launch was bad part, but I do need to address something that made this game incredibly painful for me even now in 2026. Something that is still very present and very persistent in the game, and it's a big thing. Multiplayer is atrocious. There's just no getting around this one. I've tried, and this is coming from the perspective of someone in a party with someone else, not the overall multiplayer or the open world aspect of the game, but purely where we're in a party, let's play this game together sense. I've never encountered a more bug-filled, horrific, stupid, and irritating experience as this game. This game does so much to make me love it, as I just told you, and I truly mean it when I say this. As a solo experience, the game is great. However, this is not a single-player game. And look, don't take my word for it. Sean, if you would just cover this base for me.
When No Man's Sky launches, July 24th, you're going to be able to play with your friends. Kind of a full multiplayer experience. Amazing. Right? And this is something that, like, I wish we could have done sooner, but I'm so glad it's happening, right? We've been playtesting it in the studio for like the last 6 months. It's a really different experience. With a bunch of your friends, like a small group of your friends can go exploring, right? Or you can just come across random strangers and other travelers. You can pair up together in a team and like just work together to survive. We've got base building as well, so you can build bases together. You can build everything from like tiny little shelters to like complex colonies, right, spread across like multiple planets.
Yeah, the main man himself literally said this game will be solid with you and your mates, and what it really is after all these updates is a fucking mess. Desync happens often. You need to constantly update any base elements you might change to the server, and okay, sure, this is a big game, I could forgive this one if it wasn't for like one simple fact, which is that you do what it asks you to, and it still breaks things for other people. Oh, and to add insult to injury, you can't really share a base with your mates. You need to kind of build a community around each other, and look, that's fine, I guess, sure, but it does suck the fun out of a cooperative experience, well, at least for me. I'm a builder in these types of games, and whilst the gaming better half is more of a gatherer and learner, she heads off into the world and gets and explores and discovers all this cool stuff while I stay at home and play Bob the Builder. For example, this is the Valheim base I spent 266 hours on, which, by the way, if you haven't played Valheim, it's fucking sick, mate. You should definitely go give it a shot. But why did I make this? Well, because I wanted to, and it's a great building system. So when I saw there was a base building system in No Man's Sky, I jumped straight into it, only to learn that if there's someone else with you, get ready for shit to break. But okay, that's one element, right? Well, how about we talk about corvettes then? The spaceship specifically built so you and your mates can cruise around the galaxy together. Should work great, right? Wrong. It breaks your character. Sometimes you can't even get into the ship. You also can't drive each other's corvettes despite being in a group, or not. Sometimes it crashes your game because you went and did something with your mates. Like, this shit is not ideal when the whole purpose is to group up. But okay, let's put ships to one side. Let's kick it simple. Missions. Yes, come on, simply, surely, right? There are shared missions in this game. You can get them from the Nexus and do them together, and yeah, they're pretty fun, but if one of you crashes, well, that just reset the mission for the person that's left, and the other person who crashed is now out of the mission and can't return. Or even better, the turn-in doesn't work for someone after doing it all. Or how about the warping to the mission causes your character to now run sideways, which will eventually crash your game, so you better pray you get that mission done before that happens. Eventually, you just kind of end up being in a party with your friends and just sort of doing things on your own anyway. Occasionally coming back together to look at something kind of cool and going, wow, that's sick, before splitting back off and not really experiencing the game together. And I think this is honestly the most catastrophic failure of this game for me. Is it a good game? Absolutely. As a solo player, single person experience, yeah, it's amazing. But as a multiplayer game, fuck me, I would rather smash my balls with a brick than go through this game with another person. I've never played a game that makes me want to love it, but gives me so many reasons to hate it in my entire life. And that hurts, because I spent a good couple of hundred hours coming to this conclusion until I eventually said, yeah, this is a single player game in a multiplayer world. And that's the most heartbreaking part of this game. A game that's so vast and desolate, the idea of hauling around the galaxy with just you and a few buddies seems like an amazing premise, but you end up having to do it alone because the game just kind of doesn't work any other way. It's a single player game that's had to tack on multiplayer experiences because someone overpromised, and look, it's a mistake, and I can read that. And I'm not mad at it. The game works fine by yourself, and I wouldn't have sunk 200 plus hours into this game if some part of it didn't make me happy. The same thing that made 10-year-old me happy. That feeling of exploration, that feeling of discovery. And honestly, when I look back in another 10 years' time to this game, what will I remember? Will I remember how broken the multiplayer was? No. But what I will remember, well, that's easy to sum up. So here we are, at the end of our journey, and ultimately the question is this something you could sink hundreds of hours into before GTA 6? Yeah, 100% if you're by yourself, but if you're with other people and your intention is to play this in a multiplayer experience, I can't recommend this, I really can't. This is one of those adventures that you kind of need to go out alone. And honestly, it's an adventure worth taking by yourself.